This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carinante.
Welcome to the Yankees Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carinante. Never call Aaron Judge Captain America again in my presence. Actually, you definitely can, and America's moving on anyway, so you get more chances to find out whether or not Aaron Judge is a choke artist or a capable citizen or a little bit of both. Some of column A, some of column B. We know the standard for Judge has never been higher, and we also know we've never been further in the dumps than when we realized the WBC is just an extra opportunity for fans who hate him to mock him on the national stage. He almost went out sad, making the final out of the embarrassment against Team Italy, where his manager took the foot off the gas pedal with a punt lineup and forgot the rules to the competition. Judge getting blamed for his manager's malfeasance. Wow, that has never happened before. Either way, Team USA survives. Turns out Italy's just good, and now he has another chance to write the legacy that apparently people are very strongly putting in ink based on just a couple of exhibition games in the middle of March on behalf of his country. Other countries are very much bleeding and dying for this competition. People like Clay Holmes are heading back to camp after just one appearance in the WBC. So maybe this isn't an event that America is meant to win, regardless of whether Judge is a good captain. I didn't say it. Plus, oh boy, Cam Schlittler and colorist Lagrange showed out on Wednesday. Another one of those games in spring training where it's like, this is an exhibition. This does not matter. But doesn't it feel like we've had a lot this year that like kind of matter that you're going to remember? There's one. Unfortunately, Luis Gil still getting no whiffs and poison in the Yankees locker room. What do I mean by that? Joining me as always is Thomas Carinante. Welcome to the Thursday stream. You can find us on your favorite podcast platforms after the show goes live. But for now, we are right here. Thomas Carinante, welcome to the show.
We are here. World Baseball Classic, pretty fun. Italy bailing us out big time. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Team Italy's good. They're just a good team. They have a really good coaching staff that apparently, I don't know, steered these guys in the right direction.
The coaching staff just so happens to be Yankee, Cervelli, Posada. Yeah, I mean, they kicked this shit out of Mexico, so I guess that absolves some of the blame on Team USA, but not all of it.
No, of course not. I was more impressed with. Everyone's saying DeRosa did not. He obviously thought they advanced.
Very clearly thought they advanced. He said it was a misspeak again today. He's not owning the mistake, and I guess people will let him get away with it. But yeah, he made a mistake.
How are people saying he didn't own them? Didn't he admit it?
Well, he on MLB Network he said, we advanced already, or whatever. He verbatim said we moved on, and then afterwards he's been saying, I misspoke. I didn't actually think that. And I mean, you can't.
I thought he meant,
yeah.
I thought he said that he misspoke as in, he said he misread the calculations, which
he
I
said
didn't know
he misread the calculations once after the game. And then today in a press conference, he said he misspoke. He probably misread the calculations. He did not misspeak. He said a thing that was not true.
Yeah, I mean, but everyone was also like, "Oh, he put in a throwaway lineup, and it was like Gunnar Henderson in for Alex Bregman, and there was one other lineup change where it was like there's still a star player in here,
put Goldschmidt in there. Goldschmidt. That's the one where you're getting burned, I think, from certain people, and the roasting, I think, is not only did he seem to not understand that this. I don't know if he would have managed the roster differently. And I also don't know if Team USA would have been more motivated if they had some rah-rah pub-up speech about why it was so important to play well against Italy. I think, I cannot guarantee that it would have been full of spark, and I could not guarantee that he wouldn't have thrown Ryan Yarbrough in that game because Team USA is running low on pitchers anyway. Mm-hmm. So, we burned Matt Boyd for the entirety of Mexico USA. We're kind of running out of dudes. It would have been nice to see Mason Miller in a fireman role or something, but either way, I don't know if he would have managed differently, but I do know that I don't think he understood the importance of run differential, and it didn't ultimately matter.
Yes.
EPA hit a 3-run homer, but when Goldschmidt singled in the 7th to not put Bryce Terang in there to pinch run for him, basically saying, you might have thought winning could have helped, but it was pretty clear that when he got down 8-1, he didn't know that closing it to 8-6 was incredibly important.
Yeah.
And you want to maximize the possibility that's going to happen. So run for the dude who's a slow lug. PCA cleared the bases, so he avoided some of that. The runs scored, and ultimately that saved Team USA and saved Aaron Judge's bacon. But I feel like not showing that urgency and just letting slow-ass Paul Goldschmidt run for himself was kind of an indicator that he did not fully know what was going on.
Yeah, and I think that's totally true. But at the same time, for me, it's just like this team, top to bottom, has that there is no shortage of star players or talented players. It's not like you see the drop-offs in all of these other lineups, whether it's the back half of the lineup or whether it's the bench, and the US doesn't have that. Yeah. So he could do whatever he wants. I don't think it was a punt lineup necessarily. It was the moves in between where you were like, what are we doing here? Can we get some urgency going? Judge, of course, catching a little bit of the heat. He struck out to end the game against Greg Weissert. Judge represented the tying run. Was it an all too familiar scene for people who have watched Aaron Judge on the national stage? I would say yes. The strikeout was, though. Judge, unfortunately, has these very bizarre, uncompetitive at-bats when the pressure is ratcheted up, and it's tough. It's a hard situation to be in. So I'm not saying like he's at fault for anything in this situation. It was just the fact that so many other fans from the national lens that have seen the Yankees on ESPN or in the playoffs or on Apple TV or whatever, they've seen this more times than not. And of course, they just erased everything else Judge had done in the tournament. At that point, he had the most go-ahead homers. He had the highest OPS in the tournament and the highest on-base percentage. He was single-handedly responsible for getting the U.S. out to multiple leads that led to their victories. Something to be said about that, right? Like, those were incredible hits and those were big-time hits. I do understand what some people are saying without being, like, unreasonable about it. Yes, Judge is often in a position where he's either getting the run production started and he's acting as a catalyst for everybody else in the lineup to run like a well-oiled engine. But when it's bottom of the eighth, bottom of the ninth, and stuff like that, you run into situations where Judge does make a big out, and then the microscope, he's under the microscope, and you're dealing with this nonsensical criticism. So, like, I did understand it for a second, but then at the same time, I was like, this isn't a situation where he was 1 for 11 in his last, in his last however many plate appearances, and then struck out to end the game when he had an opportunity to help his team or tie the game or save his team from elimination. It's like he's been doing a lot of heavy lifting for the first 3 games of the tournament. He had 1 bad game, and now we're going to say that he's not captain worthy and he's going to be responsible for this team's downfall. Just like, give me a break. The one thing I will get on Judge's case about is you are the captain, which is great. Yes. If Mark DeRosa vocalized, if he vocalized to MLB Network that he believed US was through into the quarterfinals, he certainly vocalized it behind the scenes. Judge, as the captain, should probably know, hey, coach, not the case. I don't know. I understand that the manager needs to have that, and it can't, like, there just can't be any downstream communication issues like that. But maybe the captain should know the stipulations here.
Well, that's the one thing. It's so funny that everyone's focusing on just the Judge strikeout against Greg Weissert as if that's the end of the world and the defining moment of his tournament. If you're going to get on him for anything, get on him for being the supposed captain and for never stepping in. Like, there are many layers of people who should have corrected Mark DeRosa on this, from the coaching staff on down. I'm sure there's an executive at the World Baseball Classic owed him a call. Someone in administrative work. Just, hey, can anyone drop a line at DeRosa? I think he has no idea how important tonight's game is. And we do want people to attend tonight's game. So any number of people could have stepped in. But if you're going to get on Judge for whiffing against Greg Weissert, which, again, no one here is sitting here being like, that plate appearance was good, actually. Or sitting here happy that Judge struck out to end the game. As soon as it happened, as soon as he got the opportunity to be the tying run, we knew that odds were not in his favor, that he would deliver. And we knew as soon as he didn't, if he didn't, we would be absorbing it from all ends. So Nobody here thought that was a great plate appearance. And everyone here listening, watching, hosting has seen that too many times.
Yes.
And it becomes tougher to defend when you have to sit here over and over and over again and say, I mean, he's still the greatest right-handed hitter in the game, and he still has playoff moments that matter. I don't know what you want me to tell you. You know, he didn't come through this time, even though he hasn't come through many times. And that's the impossibility of defending Aaron Judge. And it weighs on us, too, because we start to feel like, man, he never comes through in the clutch, does he? And the reality is he certainly does. He also fails sometimes. And when he fails, you people are really loud. And when he succeeds, you people are extremely quiet. So we're forced to sit here and defend him when he has failed. Because no one celebrates him when he succeeds. And that's the burden of being the greatest right-handed hitter in the game. But there's not much more to say about the bad plate appearance. It was bad. But people should be, I agree with you, louder about vocalizing, he's either the captain or he isn't. Either he has no real power and it's ceremonial, or he is the one who's supposed to be responsible for correcting the manager when the manager says something like, we moved on already, and we didn't. Prospect fatigue is a real thing that we deal with. Short attention span theater, like people tired of Jason Domínguez because it's been like 2 years since he debuted. It's even worse with the in-game fatigue. Like Judge was the first to strike in the whole World Baseball Classic with a 2-run home run on a 3-0 count. And we talked about the debate over whether it was too easy a pitch. It didn't even count on the last episode. But he also started the scoring against Mexico. A 2-run home run, followed by a 3-run home run by Roman Anthony, followed by the U.S. holding on by the skin of their teeth to win that game 5-3. And who gets the credit? The bullpen gets the credit. Anthony gets the credit. And Judge, who broke the deadlock and started the scoring, is the forgotten man in that game. Oh, well, they scored, Anthony homered later. Okay, then we're discounting the guy who got the scoring started. We no credit for jump starting the offense. Well, the pitching held it down. Yeah, they wouldn't have if not for the 2-run home run that Judge hit. So 2 home runs to give his team the lead in a 4-game span in the World Baseball Classic. Are we all disappointed with the collective effort? Yeah, absolutely. Did I think we were going to be talking about Team USA's eulogy today? Yeah, I actually thought
really did.
I thought Mexico and Italy might conspire to make this a low-scoring situation. I didn't have that much faith in Aaron Nola, and then he was incredible. And then again, it turns out Italy just bashed Mexico and Javier Assad. There was a brand name going for Mexico in that game. And you're talking about Achilles' heels and the USA bench actually being very good and DeRosa not having a great way to screw this up. Most of these teams with lineups that bash, like Italy, full of all this young Italian-American talent, they don't have bullpens. It's even worse in other countries than it is in the United States. So even when Italy was up 7 in that game, you're thinking, do they even have the horses to get this to the finish line before it becomes 7-5 real quick? And somehow they did, and Italy should be incredibly proud of the work they did to win that pool. And Team USA should be incredibly thankful that Italy did that and outperformed them so spectacularly. They're not going into the quarterfinals covered in roses. I think right now they're going in as a team that is going to be favored to beat Canada and is going to be, a massive underdog against the Dominican Republic. And odds are they're going to be wiped off the map in the semifinals. So we'll have that debate when the time comes. If this team of USA All-Stars should be proud of the effort they put forth. I don't think there's a world where they end this tournament and we're smiling and nodding approvingly saying, well, that was an incredible job. I didn't expect that. And you delivered. I think we're probably going to be talking next week about how Manny Machado and Junior Cabanero bashed their brains in. But Paul Skeens is going to start that game. They have a chance. If they beat Canada, they have a chance. And all you can really ask for is this chance that they kind of tripped into having, and they wouldn't have had if not for the Aaron Judge home run against Mexico.
And look, it is what it is. Italy won. Now this is no longer an issue. And Chris McGonigal of WFAN said it best, actually, with the whole Judge situation. It was bad. It was like right before the WBC started, he said this whole thing is a lose-lose for Judge. And I know WFAN is usually it's a lot of negative takes, or at least those are the ones that are advertised because that's what gets people riled up. Like, sue us, we do the same thing. But he said the tournament was a lose-lose for Judge because he would need to just be nuclear the entire time and lead the U.S. to a championship in this tournament for anybody to not say anything. He would need an absolutely blackout run, which is not really possible when you're facing the best talent in the world. I understand maybe in pool play you have that advantage because there's some weaker teams, but when it gets to the elimination stages and it's just one game and you have to bring it all for one game, it's a difficult thing to do. And like, it's not like past captains here have been flawless throughout the entire tournament. It's a tall task to carry the weight of being the captain of other guys who are like your peers. It's not like Aaron Judge being the captain of the Yankees is much different than Aaron Judge being the captain of Team USA. Like, there are guys on the Yankees who have had long-standing relationships with Judge, like Garrett Cole and Giancarlo Stanton, who are like, yeah, this guy's the captain. Like, he either predated me or I arrived and knew that this was his team and this was the agreement. But now Judge is commanding a room of guys who are captains or the person in charge of their team. So it's an entirely different task. And you saw it, the example right there. He has one bad game, which, by the way, the entire team had a bad game. Nolan McLean was terrible.
Terrible.
Ryan Yarbrough was not good. Brad Keller essentially ruined that game. If you really want to get ticky-tacky about it, like, if he doesn't have that bad of an, like, it was an egregious hitting top to bottom for him, and that ended up being the 2-run difference in the game. And then you have the rest of the lineup that didn't really do a whole lot and didn't put enough pressure up until it was too late. So what do you want Aaron Judge to do? Just continue to hit home runs every inning until the deficit is erased? So
yes.
Yeah, so that's why it's difficult, and it's, it's not fun to talk about. This is supposed to be a fun tournament. We're not supposed to be having these conversations, but unfortunately, Mark DeRosa said what he said, and then MLB pulled the clip from YouTube, and that garnered probably more criticism than DeRosa actually saying what he said. And the fact of the matter is I don't really care what anybody says. Judge is the best hitter on the planet. Like, the numbers, not just the best right-handed hitter. He's better hitter than Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani's the better baseball player. Like, again, nobody is going to ever out baseball Shohei Ohtani. I don't know, in our lifetime, probably. He can pitch at a high level. But don't forget, Shohei Ohtani was not an entirely great playoff performer. I mean, he didn't make the playoffs at all. And then in 2024, he was not good in the playoffs. He was awful against the Padres and the Yankees. And then had a couple of big games against the Brewers, and then did the same thing this year. He had a good World Series this year, but then gave up a 3-run homer in Game 7 that almost blew it, and the rest of his team picked him up, and everybody forgot about it. But if Shohei Ohtani gives up the 3-run homer in Game 7 of the World Series and then doesn't get enough hits to make up for the deficit, then what's the conversation we're having? So Shohei Ohtani has this force field around him because he can also pitch, and he also plays on the best team in the last 20 years. And I like people referencing Mike Trout as their captain. It's like, what is Mike Trout has literally done? Mike Trout's an incredible baseball player. He's done nothing to achieve what the general community would determine as greatness. He has what, 12 postseason at bats in his entire career, and
one
series. And I think he got one hit in that series. He was paired with Shohei Ohtani for however many years that was, 5 years. They didn't get to the playoffs. So, like, again, what's your definition of greatness? Oh, I know. It's just you don't like the Yankees. And that's the answer. And that's what everybody on Twitter and whatever other social media platforms they were using telegraphed. And it's boring. Just boring.
Yeah, there's been a lot of like David Wright's the real Captain America stuff. And just say that you like David Wright and you don't like Aaron Judge. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, I like David Wright too. If you're a Mets fan, like, those David Wright, there's revisionist history going on where like the David Wright Team USA teams went way further than this one. No, they didn't. They came up fairly short. There was one great David Wright walk-off against Puerto Rico. That's a great moment. But these teams didn't advance very far. And there's also a narrative that, the Team USA roster was much limper and weaker than the one that showed up this year. I mean, Skeens and Skubal were the difference between this year's and previous WBC rosters. You go back and look at the ones that Wright was on. It's like Jeter, Chipper Jones, Granderson, Shane Victorino. These are the best American players in baseball back then. And, they're not losing to Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the Japanese machine. They're losing to lesser teams and also lesser Japanese teams full of talent that didn't come overseas. So I guess we'll never know how to one-to-one compare them. But nobody at the time was like USA is a scrappy underdog here. Team USA is supposed to advance far in every tournament they play because they're supposed to be American superiority, especially in baseball. And in the 06 and 09 WBCs, Team USA just sort of, moved past the also rans of the tournament and then flopped out when the going got tough. That could happen here too. It almost happened already. It's probably going to happen in the semifinals if it doesn't happen in the quarterfinals. But that's a whole different can of worms. That's like a 25-year legacy of underperformance outside of the one title run, where notably the manager was Jim Leland, a Hall of Fame manager.
That was 2017.
A guy who has 2017 championship experience. I'm not saying Jim Leland should be this year's manager, but the manager when Team USA won the World Baseball Classic is a Hall of Fame manager who won a World Series with the Marlins, led great Tigers and Pirates teams. The manager this year is a host from MLB Network who, as far as I can tell, didn't get a managerial interview between 2023 and 2026 and forgot the rules of the tournament. And not only forgot them, but brazenly went on live television and said, I don't know the rules of the tournament. So I would say maybe if we're assigning blame to leadership, again, the blame that should go on Judge's shoulders is that he didn't correct that error. And then the real blame here should go to the manager who, yes, I know the players play, but all the players were dragging a little bit after the Mexico game. They shouldn't be.
Why are we celebrating the Mexico game like it was the Super Bowl? Mexico sucks. Mexico's not good.
Unless we think it's over. Unless we think we don't have to do any more work for 5 days.
That's the other thing. Like if God, look, I'm fine with people celebrating. Like you're happy you won. You started the tournament 3-0, but what the monkey off your back was Mexico because they were 0-3 against them. This team's not good. You look at the lineup; it's not a good team. They just got crushed by Italy. Not a good team. So it might have been different in previous years, but it's not the same this time. And that's not the way to preserve the guys that you need to continue to stack wins and avoid any type of controversy. So yeah, that's where I would assess the blame. The strikeout, the 0-for-4. Again, baseball is a game of failure. How much do you want him to succeed? If we can go through Shohei Ohtani's postseason numbers, and you could see like that he went 1-for-20 with 0 extra base hits against the Phillies in the NLDS, but the Phillies crapped down their leg, and the Dodgers had other offensive outputs that pulled him through it. He had one good game against the Brewers that padded all of his stats, and it was in an inconsequent. Was that when they won the series or went up 3-0? He got all of his stats in that one game when he hit the 3 homers and he pitched the 7 shutout innings or whatever it was. So like, and again, bad against the Padres, bad against the Yankees. He had 2 homers against the Reds in the wild card series, which, I mean, give me a break. Like, if you want to ding Aaron Judge for getting early hits in the World Baseball Classic and pool play, then we can't be giving Shohei Ohtani greatness credits for hitting 2 home runs against the Reds in a meaningless wild card series. So everybody just figure it out, because again, it's all getting very boring and very tired and uncreative, and it's not adding to. If you want to rip somebody and have some really vitriolic discourse, there's got to be something to it. It can't just be the same old shit you're pulling out because it's easy to reference and you're going to get a rise out of somebody. It's weak.
Speaking of weekly trying to get a rise out of somebody, the cutter was king in Cam Schlittler's most recent appearance. Back at Yankees camp, some incredible work being done by the New York Yankees pitchers on Wednesday. Again, spring training game, memorable. We are going to forget this by next month, by literally mid-April. But it's hard to have a better showcase than what the Yankees had on Wednesday. Giancarlo Stanton hit 2 home runs, and I please beg you, Toronto Blue Jays, let Eric Lauer face him during the regular season, because I maybe haven't seen him tattoo a left-handed pitcher like that in a couple of years. Mr. Bag of Chips went yard twice, but the pitching was the story of the game. A brief cameo in the middle of yesterday's game from Kervin Castro, who also did the job. Shout out to him. But only 3 pitchers got this one to the finish line. Cam Schlittler started it off in his second outing on the bump during real organized spring training activity, and Carlos Lagrange finished it off. And when they brought Lagrange in to back up Schlittler and Castro, Schlittler went 3 2/3 through an effortless 100, got 3 looking strikeouts in the first on the fastball. The cutter continues to grade remarkably highly. It's up 3 or so miles an hour. We talked about his debut against the Rays. Same deal yesterday against the Blue Jays. But the Lagrange situation is definitely the prevailing narrative this morning, which is crazy, again, because Cam Schlittler displayed some of the most opening day ready stuff we've seen from anybody all spring that I've seen from any Yankee in 5-10 years. And he's the guy who may not be built up. He's only going to be throwing 65, 80 pitches to start the year. That's even crazier. But Lagrange comes in and we go, okay, I don't know how long he's going to be in for. I don't know what the plan is here. An inning, 2 innings. I mean, he's been built up. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 innings, just erases them off the board effortlessly so quickly. In fact, with such a low pitch count that he has to go to the bullpen and throw some more after the game is over. Like the rare penalty for, oops, you were too good to keep your arm ready. You just got to go throw some fake pitches now. You got to stay late and do extra credit homework because you were too efficient in the game. And I mean, I let the narrative calcify. It's harder and harder to deny after watching it play out that, like, whether I'm nervous about the job of Chamberlain, Phil Hughes, back and forth of it all or not, it's going to happen. He's going to be in the Yankees bullpen this year. There's really no use denying it at this point. You just have to hope that they have a plan. And maybe the plan is just he is one of the best relievers ever and he never starts again. And he's able to use 4 pitches in the way that Dellin Betances used to use 2. And he's just an unbelievably effective 2-3 inning burst like Michael King was out of the bullpen. Maybe he's the craziest weapon of all time. Maybe that's his fate. I think you have to go into next year with a fresh slate no matter what you do. But last night, it really started to seem ridiculous to even argue against using him this year. Just on the precipice of like, well, next year, though, what do you do? It's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. I mean, whatever. Like, if you've got a guy like this, I can't justify keeping him in the minors if he's ready. I would put him on the opening day roster.
What if we did this? What if, first of all, Cam Schlittler yesterday, absolutely incredible. That was to me a little bit more impressive because it's only his second start. And he was like incredibly accurate after the layoff that he had. Carlos Lagrange is also obviously amazing. I don't think that you don't need any analysis from us. Yeah, you can look at the velocity and the spin rate, and sure, if that gets you excited, then awesome. I would say that. What if we went with this plan? What if you started the year Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, Carlos Lagrange, Ryan Yarbrough in the rotation? And then what do? You make Ryan Weathers a high leverage lefty out of the bullpen. You put Luis Gil in the bullpen as a bulk option. He still has stuff to work through. We're going to talk about him in a second. But then if you move those 2 to the bullpen and those 2 to the rotation, you're not even moving that much around because at this point we've talked about Cade Winquist. He can't be here, so that's removing a bullpen role, and you're essentially putting in Lagrange for him. And then, I guess the unfortunate aspect of it is that you have Paul Blackburn here too. So the options are you have 2 long men in Gil and Blackburn, and guess what? They can get spot starts because things are going to happen. Somebody else might get injured or dinged up, or maybe in the early going, just for example, they do a 6-man because Max Fried's coming off a massive workload. Will Warren's coming off a massive workload. Cam Schlittler is slow to start the year. And then you have the situation with Lagrange, obviously not going to, you don't want to throw him into starts over and over again to start the year, especially if you want to preserve him for the rest of the way. So what if they did a 6-man rotation of that type of like formatting and then figured it out from there? I don't know if it sounds crazy or not, but like that could also mitigate against the fear of turning Lagrange into a reliever if they don't feel like he's there yet. And it would also give them answers in the early going. Is this guy major league ready right now? He's pitching against major league talent right now, and he's doing a really good job. Do we need to see much more of refinement in the minor leagues? I don't necessarily know. It's obviously not up to me, but if I am just judging by the eye test, I would say he's probably major league ready. Let's just see what he can do. And then if he comes up for opening day and stumbles a little bit, then I think you have your answer. And I don't think that messes with his development at all. He's still getting the reps. He's facing higher competition. Then he can go down, take a breather, pitch at AAA, get it all back together, and then come up at a later time. But I think that strategy, based on what the Yankees have now, because again, the Athletics first roster projection. I don't know. Did 2.0 come out yet? I haven't seen. I don't think it has.
I don't think so.
But
yeah, I don't
the
think so.
projection for the rotation is Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, Ryan Weathers, Luis Gil, Will Warren. And I just think I think a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I think that's a fair projection. I don't think that's the correct projection now. And I don't think that's it's nobody's fault. It's just what's transpired at spring training. Luis Gil I don't know if he's ready to start games and carry the load and work through what he needs to work through in order to get to where he needs to be. I don't think Ryan Weathers is even close to being there. And he doesn't really, yeah, it's a good point. No one's creative in the Yankees organization. So thank you for that, commenter. That's why we talk about it here, because we need to let out our thoughts and feelings with things that would generally make sense. I think Will Warren's ready. Obviously, he made 30-something starts last year. Cam Schlittler is going to be limited, so that's another reason for there to be a tinge of concern over whether, how efficient is he going to be in the early going? Is he going to be able to erase 4 or 5 innings, or are we looking at 3? We're looking at 2 and change, depending on if he has a laborious first inning, a 30-something pitch first inning, and then you're kind of working behind, you're working from a deficit there. And then you look at the bullpen. Bednar, sure. Doval, I don't like him, but he's going to be there. Fernando Cruz, Tim Hill, great. And then you have Yarbrough, Blackburn, Winquest, Bird. Winquest, not here. If he's here, then the Yankees are just doing themselves a disservice. Yarbrough, I think he should be in the rotation as the last guy. He proved last year that he can do it, and I don't think there's any reason not to do it. Paul Blackburn, to me, profiles as a more effective long man, because I don't know. I don't want Ryan Yarbrough in throwaway games like that. That's a complete waste of his abilities. If the Yankees are up 10-0 and I don't know, Will Warren threw 100 pitches over 6 innings and you got to take him out, I would much rather have Paul Blackburn come in and throw the final 3 innings and go 45, 50 pitches and be done with it. I don't want Ryan Yarbrough coming in that situation. He's also a lefty. That gives Aaron Boone a little bit more options. And then there's Jake Bird. So Jake Bird, I think, obviously he's looked better this spring and it's improved. But if you can figure out a way to swap this around a little bit and give some guys opportunities and be more efficient with the decision-making, I don't see why that would be crazy. But the Yankees don't do stuff like this, so this conversation will be short-lived.
Yep, unfortunately. I agree with you that Blackburn is the best get a big lead to the finish line
or a blowout
in the Yankees bullpen.
Or a blowout.
He's blowout L. I guess you can do that too. He's just funny. Like, I didn't understand the addition. He is the only guy they've added this offseason where the Matt Blake pitching lab stuff actually seems to hold weight. It happened, and we were all like, gee, that seems unnecessary. Didn't we just sign Ryan Yarbrough? This is totally pointless unless he made some real strides in those 2 weeks at the end of last year, and they were actually tangible. And so far in camp, they seem kind of tangible. He's been doing a good job of erasing outs. He's been doing a good job of handling 4 innings. He's been doing a good job of, just handling business. Like he's a business handler. And it seems as if he keeps speaking out about how comfortable he is on this roster after the work they did in such a short time period last year. And that's why he was so inclined to come here. Great. Everybody else who I've been told Matt Blake will fix it. Matt Blake has really not fixed it so far. I don't even mean that disparagingly. I think Matt Blake is a great
fix everything.
Coach. The work he's done with Cam Schlittler is obvious. He deserves some credit for Carlos Lagrange, too. He deserves some credit for things that go really well. But too often, the Yankees will trade for someone like Chavi, and fans will just be like, if he could just get the IVB on his fastball from 16 to 24 in a month, and I think he's going to be a nasty bullpen ace. It's like, that's too much on Matt Blake's plate. And also, some people are just inherently easier to teach. And some people don't have it in them. You can tell them what to do. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't just go plucking 8 flawed dudes with ass numbers from the Colorado Rockies and be like, well, Matt Blake could just tell them how to be better, and they will be. I understand that it's more complex than that, but too often the Yankees are collecting these depressed assets, and the fan base is just sort of going, Matt Blake will do that, Matt Blake will do this, and then Matt Blake after that will do that, and he'll have lunch. Then Matt Blake will come back and teach this guy this. And time and again, the people come to the mound and prove that it's actually more complicated than that. And Jake Bird's been better, but not great. Jake Bird's going to be that's why trading for Jake Bird at last year's deadline. I was like, well, unless you have a miracle cure, this is going to suck. And then he was terrible and 3 outings was enough for them to go, hey, yeah, it's going to take more time. Goodbye. And so there's less pressure now because no one is like, Chavis got to be in the opening day bullpen or else. But there was pressure on Cade Winquist, and he didn't fix that. So some guys just don't have it. It's easy to prescribe a solution from your armchair. It's harder to put into practice. And Blackburn is actually a guy that they really helped really quickly. And Blackburn himself is like, yeah, I really, truly liked what they unlocked in me last year, and I wanted more of it. So I do think he should be prioritized out of the bullpen a little bit. The Gil thing is funny just because Gil had a start with a plus fastball against the Phillies this week. Ultimately got the job done. Ultimately, he's got like a low 2 ERA in spring, but didn't register a single whiff on that fastball. No one with a fastball that effective has ever had a no whiff start before. Now, this is a spring training start. It's not he probably would have gotten a whiff in the 6th inning, but it's been an incredibly hittable fastball. And he has been unable to do what he did in 2024, which is just live at the top of the zone with a heater and get people on the slider and have that be enough for him, because the heater is no longer fooling anybody. And it doesn't even have to be a matter of fooling people. It hasn't been effective enough to miss bats. You got to have if you're a fastball slider dude, you got to have a fastball where the hitter can know the fastball is coming. The location has to be paramount, and it'll just miss the bat because it's that effective. The pitch has not been that effective, and a good part of that is that the location just has not been there. Gil spoke about it and said, you're forgetting in 24 I was coming back from an injury. That's why I found steam and lost steam. And last year I never got to come back because I had an injury at the start, and the whole year was about coming back from an injury. So my goal is to develop over the course of a full season, and I feel like I might have my best season ever because I've got a full slate of off-season work, and I get to have that on my plate. But so far haven't seen it. And the Dellin Betances comp that's getting thrown around on Lagrange, Dellin Betances had unworkable command as a starter. It was insane. You could see the stuff, and you could just tell we cannot live with this guy. If this guy threw 5 innings, he'd walk 9 every game. Daniel Cabrera style was the comp for the old Orioles pitcher. Gil is not quite that dangerous, but we've always been nervous about what happens if you move Gil to the bullpen with all these walks and all these command issues. What if it's a 1-run game and you just can't find the plate? That's going to be an issue for pretty much any volatile reliever. But Betances' command issues as a starter were way worse. And he went to the bullpen and he still had command issues and he still had control problems. And there were still games where you'd go, oops, they're not biting at the big breaker. And then you're just kind of screwed. But he was one of the best relievers of baseball 3 years running. And he was able to channel that into intimidation. So now it's funny that we worry about, what happens when Gil and all those walks go to the bullpen. But we've used Betances as a Lagrange comp when we should be using him as a Gil comp. The starting rotation version of Betances had horrific, unworkable command, worse than Gil, and it went to the bullpen, and he made it work. He was one of the best relievers in baseball for a solid stretch. That is easily something that Gil could do as well. It's also possible that he goes to the bullpen and nothing ticks up and the fastball isn't working and he's not getting any added velocity from becoming a 1-inning guy. And the command is still just as poor instead of a little better and marketable. That's a possibility, but I just think it's funny that we're talking about Lagrange as Betances just because they're both big and throw 103. And we're ignoring that Lagrange has double the pitches Betances does and still has a bright future ahead of him. Gil is the one who I think, probably going to start the season in the rotation, but if it's just not working, like he is the one who I would say, can't we just maybe get the Betances leap out of him by moving him to the bullpen and improving the command 15%, 10% even?
And I don't look even for both of these guys, right? For Gil and Lagrange in my imaginary restructured pitching staff situation, there are no other pitchers in camp right now that are, I think, as good as those two are, or have possessed the potential that those two do. So it's not like you're going out on a limb by putting them in these different roles and testing it out. Cade Winquist, even as the last guy in the bullpen, feels like an irresponsible move. Jake Bird, to me, still feels a little bit irresponsible. I need to see that during the regular season. He has not proved it during the regular season, whereas Luis Gil has. And if he's not necessarily blowing the doors off of spring training like someone like Carlos Lagrange has been, then I don't know why you wouldn't potentially go with the better option. And for the way the Yankees have operated the last few years, they love they love relievers who can go multiple innings. Luke Weaver was going multiple innings. Luke Weaver was the multi-inning high leverage dude for 2 years, and everybody loved it. And Aaron Boone loved having that at his disposal. Jonathan Loaizaga, when he was at his best, he was going multiple innings, and they still tried to make that a reality. It didn't work because he didn't have the stuff and he was constantly injured. Clay Holmes, they used for multiple innings at a time. Like, this is a philosophy that they have been instilling in some capacity. And it's just like, why can't we use, like, for example, starting Lagrange in the rotation to begin the year, have him make starts, and then there's going to come a point where he is going to get pushed out of the rotation, potentially with Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon coming back, assuming it's a full house and there's not room. Then great, use him as a multi-inning reliever out of the bullpen to keep his innings in check, but don't treat him like a reliever, I guess, if that makes sense, like as a strict, oh, you're going in for maximum 20 pitches and you're in for 1 inning. Like, don't do that. And then same thing for Luis Gil. Like, I don't know why Luis Gil wouldn't be able to develop into a 1 2/3 to 3 inning relief guy when the game is 5-1 in the 5th, and the starter has to get the starter is either in trouble or got his pitch count high, and they need someone to come in and figure it out. Like, I don't understand why that's not a feasible option for either of them in reality. Like, yeah, I understand that Luis Gil is having some problems, and we've referenced the walks previously and how that is not a recipe for the bullpen, because if you're coming out of the bullpen to either stop the bleeding from a starter, maybe letting a couple guys on base, or to preserve a 3-4 run lead, and you still have 4 innings to go, walks are bad. But guess what? Walks are also bad in the first inning. They're bad in the second inning. So if walks are part of his profile, there's not really going to be any perfect situation to put him into. So work on limiting the walks. Then you can use him in relief and work him up to high leverage multi-inning relief. And then same thing with Lagrange. He gets his innings in the beginning of the year. He moves the team he helps move the team in the right direction while they're down these couple of guys. And then when July comes and he's at 80 something innings and you don't want to keep pushing him that far, then great. Now he's in the bullpen. These other guys are back, and he's going 1+ innings up to 3 innings at a time when they need him. And that makes the Yankees bullpen a million times better than this projection that I'm looking at on my computer. If Correct. This projection is anywhere close to what it is, even by May, we're in big trouble. And the only reason the hypothetical we wouldn't be in trouble is if Jake Bird completely turned around, is if Cade Winquist completely turned it around, and is if Camilo Doval manages to harness what he did in 2023, and Paul Blackburn and Ryan Yarbrough turned into not long relief options that are only pitched in throwaway games. So again, the creativity, there needs to be a little bit something here, because you have a lot of talent. You have a lot of guys who could do different things. And it seems very black and white, where it's like, oh, nope, this guy's got to be in the rotation, or, oh, nope, we got to potentially convert Lagrange to a reliever. None of that should be static. It should be all open to whatever the situation calls for.
And we've been sort of parroting Jake Bird has turned it around, because he definitely had turned it around for a while, and he's still been better than I thought he would be in a nightmare scenario. But now we're up to 6 games, 6 innings, 8 Ks, 1.50 whip, 4.50 ERA. The first time he has to come into a close game, I'm going to poop my pants. I trust him 0%, and he's going to have to be good for this bullpen to be at all acceptable. I hate being right sucks. I hate being right. When they traded for him, I was like, man, this is the most Scott Efros vibes of any acquisition we've made since Scott Efros. Because so many people were just telling me how obvious it was that Jake Bird's sweeper would suddenly play up in the Yankees bullpen. And he was this underrated piece coming from Colorado. And mostly what stood out to me was that he was expensive because of how much control he came with. Check that box. That's a Scott Efros model. We have to give up a top 10 prospect for this middling reliever just because we have him for 5 more years. And the Bird's recent profile, like, I thought Bird was a good candidate for the bullpen. in like May. Then I stopped paying attention to him. And then I checked out what he'd done just before the deadline. And the month before the deadline, he'd been getting pummeled by everyone everywhere. He went to Cleveland and gave up like 5 runs in a third of an inning. And it was like, damn, okay, so it's not just Colorado. Pitching in Colorado affects where you pitch everywhere because you're changing your arm angle, you're changing your spin for your home games, and you're trying to be a different guy on the road, and it throws you off everywhere. But I looked at his most recent games, and it was like, oh, implosion, walked the world. Oh, this is going to be awful unless Matt Blake has something right away. And he didn't. Jake Bird blew a game. The worst loss I've seen the Yankees have in the regular season ever, bar none. Leading contender in Miami. They're waiting for the 2026 team to beat it. It's the loss to beat for sure. And then they tie for the division lead and lose the division by ostensibly 1 game. And you could pinpoint 1,000,001 games. You could pinpoint all the games where they threw the ball around the infield against Toronto and looked overmatched against the teams in their division. But I'm going to go ahead and point to that Miami game where they had a gigundous lead, almost blew it, extended it to 9-4 in the friggin' 7th, and then Jake Bird ate butt and ruined the baseball game. And then David Bednar also blew a save in that game. And then Camilo Doval also blew a save in the 9th inning. It's unmatched. You will never beat that. And it was like Caballero kicked a ball to the outfield wall. The worst loss. The worst. And that was Jake Bird's introduction. So felt like we were immediately vindicated. This opinion that I did not want to have, this toxic comparison to Scott Efros. And then, vindication personified. And so far this spring, he's looked better, but his last couple outings have been pretty bad. And the first time I have to see him protect a 1-run lead,
exactly,
I know what I'm going to be thinking.
Yeah, the stuff is just not overwhelming, and it's not. At this point, it's not crafty enough. Here's another crazy situation. What if you trade one of Blackburn and Yarbrough for relief help? Someone's going to want one of these guys, especially with how Yarbrough performed last year and how Blackburn's been performing this spring. I like them both. I think that they have value on this team, but the Yankees obviously have a greater need for somebody who can just come in and take care of business for 3 outs. And I don't think either of those guys profile as somebody who you can bring in the 7th inning on a day where the bullpen, your options are dwindling. So what if you trade one of those guys, add a real bullpen arm in here, and then you're not dealing with maybe as awkward of a conversation, maybe Blackburn, and maybe you trade Yarbrough, right? You trade Yarbrough, Blackburn becomes your de facto long man. Luis Gil is the next dude who is giving multi-innings, but at this point, he's not tasked with handling high leverage. And then you can go with that amended look at the starting rotation, and you could bump Winquist out of here. You can maybe option Bird to AAA to start the year to keep him there. Like, I don't know. But at this point, you can't have 2 long men, and you can't have a guy, and you can't have a guy in Heel who might be a 5th starter, but also isn't really a bullpen fit, but also we can't trade him because he has no value. He needs to, there needs to be something figured out here because the Yankees have enough talent and they have enough of the pieces in place. Now it's just about adding a little bit more to that. So I don't know, maybe that's the next thing that they do right before opening day, but clock's ticking because that's 13 days from now.
You want to get really upset?
Yeah.
What do you think Scott Efros has done this spring? Detroit Tigers non-roster invitee wearer number 68.
He has not appeared in a game.
Oh, he's appeared in 3 games, but he hasn't appeared in 3 innings yet. If that gives you a hint.
A third of an inning?
No, he's gone to 2 2/3 across 3 games. He hasn't struck out a batter. He has a 13.50 ERA and a 4.13 WHIP, and he's been tagged with 2 losses
in spring training.
1 non-roster invitee reliever has lost 2 spring training games. That's really tough to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, Scott Efros was somebody who I raged against for a long time, and it wasn't his fault. It was, in my opinion, it was Brian Cashman's fault. The guy had barely any major league experience. Cashman valued control over everything else, and then traded a top 10 prospect that he could have packaged in a different deal to make the Yankees even better. And then whatever injury issues befell Efros weren't his fault, but it just added worse. It added to the situation even worse. And I mean, that is sad to see he's doing that now because he's supposed to be healthy at this point. right? Like
he just lost. I mean, he just lost it. He got it sapped. Whatever he had, he doesn't have anymore. Shoulder will do that to you. It's worse than Tommy John. And also, if you just want to hear a crazy thing, he's thrown. He's pitched in 5 different spring trainings, 3 with the Cubs, only one with the Yankees because he missed 23 and 24.
Yeah.
And this year with the Tigers. These are the first earned runs he's ever allowed in spring training. His ERA in spring and cross 4 camps was 0 before this year, and now it's not that. So very sad. Speaking of poisonous in the locker room, Brett Michaels visited Aaron Boone yesterday. This is obviously not the most important thing that ever happened, although it will be if he's named the 5 starter. But Brett Michaels is close friends with Aaron Boone. Garrett Cole took photos with Brett Michaels. I'm not sure what I'm maybe more disturbed about here, actually. I don't know when Aaron Boone and Brett Michaels intersected. Like Punta Cana 1 October after the Yankees season ended early, and he went down to Cancun and just ran into Brett Michaels over at the Casa de Amor, and they shared a whole bunch of mudslides together and started talking over rotation plans for the distant future. So I'm already disturbed enough that somehow they run in the same circles. Like I kind of thought Aaron Boone had a family life. Like at what point is Aaron like, hey baby, and my children, this is Brett Michaels from the band Poison. We're gonna grab we're gonna dirt bike today. Like I don't know when this happens, but I'm already disturbed enough by that. I'm even more disturbed that Garrett Cole was like, can we take a picture? Hopefully they were just sort of lingering in the locker room together, and somebody was like, you guys want to you got to take a picture together. And Garrett Cole was like, sure, because obviously you're not going to want to be like, this guy's been invited into the locker room. I couldn't care less. I'm going to say no. Hopefully he just sort of took someone else's suggestion and wasn't like extremely eager and desperate to take a photo with Brett Michaels, star of Rock of Love, and of course, lead singer of the band Poison. But yeah, again, the vibes aren't wrong. I just don't know how we got to where we are today. And I just wanted to talk about it on the podcast. I don't know how this happened.
You want to laugh? BrettMichaels.com. Under the blog, it looks like it's probably the blog section. Oh no, sorry, it's tagged as news. So I don't know what this is, the blog section of the website. It's a picture of him and Boone. That's the picture you're referring to, where they're going like this. They're in the clubhouse, and this was yesterday. He posted this. And he said, there's more to come tomorrow. On my father's birthday, honoring his never-ending love for baseball, I cannot give more thanks to the incredible Aaron Boone and the entire New York Yankees organization, players, coaches, personnel, media, who could not have been more upbeat and hospitable. Getting to throw baseball on Steinbrenner Field in Tampa with Aaron Boone was a bucket list moment for me. Stay tuned for the full story with pictures and video tomorrow. I don't know what this story is going to be. There's some journaling here to be done that goes far more in depth than him having a catch with Aaron Boone on Steinbrenner Field. In Tampa. But yeah, this is good. It's on the official Brett Michaels website. And a cursory search of Brett Michaels claims that his tour had to be canceled because he demanded a 600% raise on whatever he was making previously. So
we're paying the luxury tax now for Brett Michaels. Are you kidding me?
Hell's like, about 600% increase. What? This
I can't do that. Yeah. Best I can offer is a catch on the field with Aaron Boone. You better say it's on your bucket list in your blog.
But yeah, this is great. Brett Michaels live and amplified on his it's brettmichaels.com/rocking Yankees training camp. That's the URL. So this is just wild stuff, man. This is good.
This is just, I mean, I guess I needed this midweek. There's hey,
look, we asked him to switch up the vibes. Plenty of times we have asked him to switch up the vibes. It's not the worst thing.
Yeah. And also I implore everyone to go look at the picture of Brett Michaels yourself. The mustache and beard fully eye black. Like
an eyeliner.
It does not look like hair. It looks like he just got into somebody's goop and just went ahead and rubbed it on the mustache and on the little, chin strap area. Hey, again, like if you're honoring your family, and I would definitely love to get on the field at Steinbrenner Field. And if I told my dad, I'm sure he'd be very proud of me that happened. But I don't know. Having a catch with Aaron Boone is not on my bucket list. If it happened, I wouldn't say this is bad. But more celebrities should have to write out their whole bucket list and make it public so that we can see just like what's out there? What are the dreams that you people who kind of have everything haven't accomplished yet? Because I bet some of them are going to be kind of weird. And I also bet some of them are going to be things that like we normal people have already done. We can be like, I've done that. Like a little feather in my cap. Brett Michaels got the experience I think we all are kind of envious of. And I learned he had a website because of it. So there we go.
There you go, Brett. Yeah, Yankees spring training. Here we go. I guess it's getting a little bit interesting. We've been lamenting a little about the first couple weeks and there not really being any competition, but now that maybe there could be with this pitching stuff. And with Domínguez righty home run. Did you guys see that? That was
Domínguez other home run from not righty side off Justin Verlander.
Yeah.
Today. Like,
yep.
The keep Jason Domínguez for insurance button has never been pressed harder by me. Like,
I know.
I understand if you want to maximize his value and you think AAA is a death sentence, but you're gonna want somebody to fill in the lineup in May. You just are. I promise you. For him is to keep looking awesome, and he has looked awesome.
And there's no team out there that's going to say, "Oh man, a good spring training from Jason Domínguez. We'll pay whatever you want." They're not.
Joe Ryan incoming. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. So I mean, look, we talked a lot today about this pitching staff. I think there could be some worthwhile storylines to follow. Who'd they option today? Ben Hess and somebody else, another pitcher.
Did they send Brennan Beck down?
Yep, Brennan Beck. Yep, Brennan Beck and Ben Hess. Brennan Beck had a really good showing in the World Baseball Classic, which the commenters noted much earlier in the show. So yeah, there's a good look at how deep this pitching staff can be. They did lose Brock Selvage, season-ending surgery, internal brace procedure. Not good because he's only made 32 appearances the last 2 years, and now he's going to miss all of 2026. So that's to me, that's just a ding on the Yankees making their famous 4 5-for-1 deal at the deadline, where they clear out a portion of the farm system with like guys that they don't need. Oh, here are our prospects, 11 through 26. Take 4 of them. Enjoy. Brock Selvage no longer an option, but as you could see, optioning Brennan Beck and Ben Hess at this point in spring training indicates that there's a lot of talent here.
Yeah, and we will, just because they're option doesn't mean we can't see him in a big league game for the rest of camp. They're even thinking about working Garrett Cole into a big league game for the rest of camp. It's sort of all hands on deck. Some minor leaguers are going to travel. They will not be on the opening day roster, either Hess or Beck, and they shouldn't be pending, a wild shuffle, but very exciting stuff from both of them. And Beck in the WBC got a chance to show off his talents more than honestly some other Yankee. When you're on a team like Great Britain, like Elmer Rodriguez on Puerto Rico, like you're one of the primary pitchers. So you have a start to yourself. You're not all the way built up. You're not going further than 4 innings. He and Rodriguez both looked great. Rodriguez got the plaudits and his team is still in it, but shout out to Beck as well, who I think is a solid depth piece for this team. We appreciate everybody joining us today. Everyone who listened after the fact on your favorite podcast platforms, please subscribe if you have not. Please hit that bell, turn the notifications on so you know when we're going live. It'll typically be Monday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. But as we get closer to opening day, closer to breaking news, closer to the regular season, it might vary. We might do something crazy. So stick with us. We appreciate everybody who watches, listens, comments, etc. You all are the reason that we do this. We also do this so that we can maybe eventually end up on Brett Michaels' blog. I'm Adam Weiner, but you can find me on Twitter at Adam Weiner. Thomas Carannante, where can the people find you?
I'm at Tommy's_takes. We are both at the official Yanks Go Yard account. That is at Yanks Go Yard FS. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget it. yanksgoyard.com is the website. Content there. Everything you can ever dream of. We're going to be probably writing some articles based on a bunch of stuff we talked about today. Appreciate you guys listening and reading as always. Enjoy the weekend. WBC should be fun. Hope it'll be fun. If US doesn't win, I am rooting for Dominican, and honestly, I might kind of be rooting for Dominican Republic anyway. They're fun.
But I am annoyed, as I knew I would be, that whatever the bracket was organized at, it's going to be USA Japan in the finals or never, because I'm bored of. I don't want a rematch. I want USA in the finals because I love my country and Aaron Judge, and I want them to face a really interesting team like the Dominican Republic. And that's a semifinal game. And so I don't get, if USA does advance to the finals, I have a clear rooting interest. But I wish it could be USA versus DR in the finals so that I could go home and either say, oh my God, America won this thing. That's crazy. Or, oh my God, the Dominican Republic team was stacked and they deserve a win in the World Baseball Classic. And unfortunately, I don't get that, and that's okay. But tune in and watch USA Canada. Definitely tune in and watch every time the Dominican Republic plays, whether the USA is involved or not. Ranger Suarez is pitching for Venezuela. That could be fun. Puerto Rico, even without all their stars, is hanging in this. So, hey, let's see what we get. Either way, the environment is kind of unmatched with these Floridian games. So, shout out to the WBC. Better than you heard it was. I remember being sort of bored of it in 06 and 09. It just so happened to coincide with David Wright's captaincy. Very interesting. Yeah. No, when it first started, I didn't get it. And over the years, I do feel like the excitement level has been ratcheted up significantly. They used to play like day games in Anaheim between Japan and Korea. That made no sense. Now those games start in pool play overseas. That rabid fan base gets a chance to partake. They should play for pool play matchups in the Dominican Republic next time. Kind of crazy that they didn't have that scheduled. But other than that, they're figuring it out. Miami's where it should be at this point in time. Hope we all get to enjoy it this weekend. Until next week, take care, everybody.